I hope you don't mind. I just kind of want to take a serious moment here and just talk about why I'm reviewing this movie today. On November 10th, we lost a very talented voice actor, a very talented actor in general, Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy gave his talent to the world to voice one of the most iconic heroes of all time, Batman. Even to this day, no matter how many different iterations of Batman we've had ever since, when it comes to who is the best Batman, it always comes back to Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy was born November 30th, 1955 in Westchester, New York. At age 11, he actually moved with his father. Grew up in an Irish Catholic family. A big family, but it was strict. He didn't really have much emotional connection to his family, especially his father. It was very cold and distant. But despite all that, he did manage to go on to Juilliard to study theater. And he put his talent and his pain into the art. He found himself in theater. Then he went on to do television shows and eventually landing the role of Batman in Batman the Animated Series. He actually connected to the pain of Bruce Wayne. In television, he made random appearances. He had bit parts in Cheers and even Murphy Brown. While he did not know much about comic books or even the character of Batman, when described to him what Batman was all about, he connected to that character. He connected to the idea of a man leading a double life. You see, it wasn't long ago he actually came out. He wrote a story himself describing his experience in the industry. This was a story that was published in DC Pride 2022. Yes, he married a woman. He grew in an industry where it was very discriminating. He has seen how politics and society and even the AIDS epidemic took its toll on many of his friends that were part of the LGBTQ plus community. That's why it took him so long to come out. There are articles about it, and he even has a great interview where he talks about his upbringing on a podcast called Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Michael Rosenbaum was his co-star. He voiced the Flash in Justice League. Honestly, I didn't expect myself to do this review, not right now. Maybe next year, because then it would have been the 30th anniversary, but under this circumstance and condition, I decided to move my schedule around, shuffle some movie reviews, and I'm gonna go ahead and review Kevin Conroy's theatrical film, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. If it's a way to honor him, even as a small YouTuber, then I am honored to do so. I did my best to throw things together, got my outfits, my display. I am gonna go ahead and do an all-nighter. I've already reviewed one movie. I'm gonna go ahead and review another. If Batman can have an all-nighter, so can I, right? Let's take a look at Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. I'm Anthonix Maximus, bitching to you about movies because I'll do anything for Batman. So it may not be 30 years of Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. It is 30 years of Batman the Animated Series. So before we get into the movie, we probably should discuss the TV show. Just a little. I don't want to make this a long review like I did for Batman 66. So let's just get to with the animated series. After all, we all had enough Batman history from my other reviews. You should check them out if you haven't. We know how great Batman is. Unlike most comic book characters, we know very well about the Batman Rogues Gallery. We know Captain America has Red Skull. We know the X-Men have Magneto. Superman has Lex Luthor. But I would argue that Batman is the one hero where you could mention any of his enemies' names and people would pick up on it right away. I could say Mr. Freeze. I can say Man-Bat. I can say even King Tut, a villain from the 1960s series, and people would know that they belong to Batman. The other hero that comes closest to recognizable villains would probably be Spider-Man. Now, riding off the success of Batman and Batman Returns, Warner Brothers wanted to produce a cartoon show for the children because the children make the studios so much money. So we got Batman the Animated Series, which aired on Fox Kids. The first episode debuted September 5th, 1992, and 65 episodes were commissioned. Why that much? That's because you get syndication. This series was created by Bruce Timm and Eric Randomski, who both met while working on Tiny Toon Adventures. The design of Batman, Bruce Timm wanted to go with the same art style as the Max Fleischer cartoons of Superman. Along with Bruce Timm, we had Paul Dini. The both of them actually worked on Masters of the Universe. Alan Burnett was actually part of this project as well. See, they actually had background through the 80s. One big background was Masters of the Universe. So yes, imagine Masters of the Universe with its silly dialogue.
You know what? These claws need a manicure.
And a decade later, we get Batman the Animated Series. I mentioned this before in other animated reviews, but writers in the 80s were told to never make anyone complex. Just know good guys good, bad guys bad. This show was infamously drawn on black paper because they really wanted to get that gritty look to Gotham. Because the way Bruce Timm and Paul Dini wanted this, they wanted the series to be like a film noir. And they didn't look at the episodes like they were just cartoon episodes, but rather they looked at them as mini movies. And I can see that because each episode did stand alone and could have been presented as a mini film. But what was cool about the series too, though, is, they were contained. Bruce Timm never believed the show could always get picked up. He always had it in his mind that the show can end at any moment, so he wanted to make sure that when it does end, there were no terrible cliffhangers. In some episodes, there were little nuggets that were a continuation from a previous story or hinted at the next story. It wasn't serialized, but it gave us room to at least connect the dots. Hell, even their opening credits. Like, take a look at these opening credits here. It's very vague, just some random bad guys just blowing up banks and running, somehow getting to the roof. But you notice, nowhere in the opening credits do you actually see the title Batman, the Animated Series. Well, that's because they figured we all know who Batman was. And that was a smart call because I was a kid when the show came on. And yeah, I didn't need the title to tell me it was a Batman show. I just knew. They wanted the look of Batman to be dark and resemble the movies, but also be very close to the comic books as well. That's why he's actually wearing blue and gray, but it's so dark in Gotham that it passes as black and gray. Of course, by the time we get the new adventures of Batman, that just kind of goes out the window and it's black and gray again. But that's what I like about this series. Like, you look at Gotham and you have to wonder, what is the time period? It kind of looks like the 30s. It does for sure take place in the 90s. Their whole idea was that it was going to be a contrast to Metropolis. Like, you notice Superman, the animated series, the city looks almost futuristic, so modern. Then you go to Gotham, and it looks like it hasn't progressed that much. That's why their TVs are still black and white. But the show did have serious moments, and their biggest battle was actually with the FCC. And I say that loosely, because the FCC were pretty okay with Batman, but there were rules that applied to many cartoons at the time. Bullets could not be fired, and couldn't really show guns, at least not in the light, and you couldn't really do any punching either. So that's why when you look at, say, Spider-Man the Animated Series, Spider-Man never throws a punch, and instead of firing bullets, everyone's firing lasers. But whereas in Batman, the way they remedied the FCC rules was that every time Batman threw a punch, there'd be a split-second flash, because it'll distract us. There are no bullets fired, but when a gun is shot, it's also a flash of light. And to make sure that kids don't go out and start finding guns or buying guns, you'll notice a lot of the guns in the show, they're Tommy guns. Guns that have not been made for decades. So as I said, the show premiered September 5th, 1992. I actually remembered watching this vividly because I was a kid, and back then cartoon shows would come on Saturdays, but they would also air Monday through Friday in the afternoon. What, you thought this body was a kid who actually went outside and played? Nah, I went home and I watched cartoons. Alright, so here's where it gets weird. If you go by according of the Blu-ray or the DVDs, they say the first episode was On Leather Wings with Man-Bat. But I was a kid in 1992 and I remember very well what the first episode aired. And that first episode was The Cat and the Claw, Part 1. Both answers are true. Yes, on TV on Fox Kids, The Cat and the Claw Part 1 was the first to air. But the first official episode that was produced was On Leather Wings. The reason why they would air Cat and the Claw as the first episode is because it had Catwoman. And this was fresh off of Batman Returns. They wanted us to be introduced to the show with a memorable villain. This cartoon show introduced me to most of the villains we know today. Yeah, the show had serious moments. It had an episode that dealt with a mobster trying to look for his son. Turns out his son is in rehab because he had been taking his dad's drugs. Another episode featured Commissioner Gordon getting shot. And the show did introduce us to many elements, making villains sympathetic, like for example, Mr. Freeze in the episode Heart of Ice, which, fun fact, that episode won a Daytime Emmy for outstanding writing in an animated program. If you do go by the rule of what was first produced or by what the DVD Blu-rays say, it is nice that they say On Leather Wings is the first episode because in the whole entire series, the very first line is delivered by Kevin Conroy.
Oh, there it is.
There what is?
It looked like bat wings.
That's right, the first voice we heard in the whole entire cartoon series was of Kevin Conroy. Not as Batman, not as Bruce Wayne, but just as a cop. But yeah, it's a great series. It's a wonderful series. It also introduced us to characters that were never in the comics before, but continued to the comics afterwards, like Harley Quinn or Renee Montoya. Hell, even the Phantasm has joined the comics now. The show was so loved and well received by its fans that Warner Brothers commissioned a feature-length film. The people of Warner Brothers assigned Alan Burnett to write the script. The original plot of this movie was going to be Batman being captured by his rogues gallery, and he has to sit through a kangaroo court at Arkham Asylum. Well, they decided that wasn't going to be a good story, not for a feature-length film, because that would have required Batman pretty much doing very little the whole time as the bad guys complained about why they're bad and how Batman made them who they are. So yeah, I would agree with that. I'd say probably a whole entire film about that. It may not be that compelling. Now, they did use that story later in a future episode called Trial. Now, you put that in a regular TV episode, then that works. So, this script, they decided they'll be inspired by Batman Year 1, a little bit of Batman Year 2, and also Citizen Kane, at least in the method of the flashback imagery. And this was actually meant to be a straight-to-video movie, but at the very last minute, Warner Brothers decided to up their budget to $6 million, allowing them to make the film theatrical. So the film was released December 25th, 1993, Christmas Day. I saw the movie in the theater. Yes, my mommy took me to the movies, and she was actually kind of mortified by some scenes. Anyways, let's just start the film. Let me finish my energy drink here. Oh my god, it's Roger Rabbit! Ooh, 3D effect buildings in a CG setting? Now I see where that $6 million budget went. And you even get the Red Sky. We're not supposed to get the Red Sky episodes until 1997.
Take a good look, boys.
Jeez, Mr. Saul, I can't tell the difference.
Ooh, the criminals are being criminals, and the guy in charge is Chucky Saul, who we've never seen the show before. That was another cool thing about the Batman animated series. Some episodes didn't have the Batman Rogues Gallery villains. Some episodes just had mobsters. As a kid, I was bored by that, but as I got older, I actually appreciated those episodes more because it allowed Batman to kind of fight crime while trying to grow with himself.
It's identical down to Ben Franklin's stubble.
I want to launder through the casino at $500,000 a week.
By the way, Chucky Saul here is voiced by Dick Miller. Yeah, we discussed Dick Miller in my Gremlins review. He was in the Gremlins. I mean, I know in Gremlins he was supposed to be a crazy guy from the war, but now he's become criminally insane. Money laundering. Ooh, I didn't see any flash effect while Batman punched that guy. Therefore, you know it's a movie. And real guns, too? Oh, we're getting a little ahead of the FCC here. And it's a good thing they had a bulletproof table.
Chucky Saw.
Batman!
Within the first few minutes, introduced to the Phantasm. Yes, the Phantasm. The character is sort of original, but also inspired from the villain Reaper. And this Phantasm is easily distracted. You had the chance to escape, but man, you had to try your luck because he's at a casino.
This time I got you, you lousy stinking.
I told you before, it's hard to find parking in a city.
Hey, look, it's Batman!
Oh my god, Batman pushed the car off the building.
How many times are we gonna let Batman cross the line?
He's a loose cannon. This guy is Councilman Arthur Reeves, voiced by Hart Bochner. Some of you might know him from Die Hard. I personally connect him to the 20, maybe even 30-something-year-old love interest to Supergirl.
I'm sorry, Councilman, but you can't blame Batman for what happened to Chucky Saul.
He's introduced in this film as the guy that wants to take Batman down.
Why, you're the very model of sanity. Oh, by the way, I've pressed your tights and put away your exploding gas balls.
Oh, Alfred, you and your silly sense of humor. And Alfred is voiced by Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. He's the bad guy in Hot Shots.
It'll be good to see you again, Arthur.
You too. And don't worry about a thing.
Oh, and flying in, we're introduced to Andrea Beaumont. We'll find out that she is an ex-girlfriend to Bruce Wayne. Never before been in the comics, but they wanted to give this film a chance for Batman to show us his backstory.
He's ancient history.
That's encouraging.
I assume Andrea Beaumont is a name that came up inspired by Andrea Romano. The unique thing about Andrea Romano, the voice cast director, she casts actors that have been in films that would be similar to Batman. So she has actors from mob films or just grown-up film in general. I noticed she doesn't go out of her way to cast, some random popular teen celebrity at the time. That's not her style. She usually casts actors who are someone your parents would know. And that's okay too, because if you like the actor, then you will go out on your own to research the characters yourself, or research the actors yourself. I mean, come on. Not many kids are gonna know that Roddy McDowell was the voice of Mad Hatter, or Ron Perlman is the voice of Clayface. Meanwhile, at Stately Wayne Manor, Bruce Wayne is throwing another social party because he has to lead that double life of being a vigilante at night and a playboy billionaire any other time. Okay, I get it. I get you have to have a double life, but don't exhaust yourself. And most certainly don't exhaust Alfred throwing parties. It's bad enough that Alfred's up most of the night while you're patrolling the streets, but then you have the audacity to expect him to keep the house clean during the day? You are a terrible boss, Bruce Wayne.
Haven't you ever thought about marriage?
Oh, never say the M word in front of Bruce. It makes him nervous.
I have to admit we're not going to get a Harley Quinn in this movie because, well, back then we didn't really know anything about Harley Quinn. She wasn't really a big picture in our minds yet. But we are treated to Arlene Sorkin, who normally did the voice of Harley Quinn, as this bimbo.
What about the I word?
The I word?
Engagement.
I guess Bruce Wayne is a man whore.
Thanks for the handkerchief, Arthur. You know where you can stick it.
Oh, it's Bruce Wayne's parents, General Ross and Kitty from that 70s show. And they even do the Citizen Kane wavy flashback. Oh yes, and I didn't mention it because I was kind of trailing off, but Andrea Beaumont is voiced by Dana Delaney.
And if Daddy gets any more protective, he's going to build a moat around my bedroom.
While she went on to voice Lois Lane.
Nice S.
Excuse me?
Right here.
And then went on to Desperate Housewives. She co-starred with another Lois Lane, Terry Hatcher. Small world.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to.
That's okay. We're done. Mom doesn't have much to say today.
Oh, she's quirky. She's quirky.
I talked to my parents.
What'd you say?
I made a vow.
To put all the family money into cryptocurrency. Oh, cool. Now we get to see Bruce Wayne fighting crime for the first time before donning a Batman outfit. And what I really like about Gotham is sometimes they love going with the big, giant things, like a giant hat.
On your stomachs. Arms spread. Say your prayers, sucker.
Yeah, some dialogue is just alright. Up, did you see it that time? Did you see it that time? That flash of light? But he gets beat up and the truck takes off. It turns into a chase. Hey, it's a young Harvey Bullock when he was still a cop. Another character that existed in the comics before, but made popular because of this cartoon. I am concerned, though, that his partner doesn't open his eyes while driving. But no worries, Bruce stops him, just barely, while injuring the guy. And why? I don't know, just to prevent theft of some hats.
I had the edge. I could feel it. They weren't afraid of me.
So go ahead and keep training so you can be the next Cobra Kai.
What is that?
Jiu-jitsu.
Gesundheit.
Oh, she's a witty girl. Like I'm talking 1980s sitcom witty girl.
It takes years to master.
Hey!
She's dainty.
Oh, he laughs.
He kicked her to the ground so hard that it put sleeves onto her dress. Yeah, Alfred, they're about to do the deed on the lawn. Maybe you should go back inside. And the making out was so bad, they broke up.
You always were a loser.
Now the next target, Buzz Bronski, played by John P. Ryan. He's played some bit characters.
Your angel of death awaits.
Again with Angel of Death. Enough already. Yeah, that's a pretty gruesome death. But hey, at least he's already at the cemetery. Oh my gosh, now the papers think Batman is killing mobsters. And Batman was kind enough to pose for the photographer.
The Batman does not kill. Period.
And that is the last we see of Commissioner Gordon for the whole entire film. Basically just saying, Batman didn't do anything wrong. But yeah, you know what, if you want to go after him, sure.
Usually here by now.
Nice try, guys. He's not gonna listen to your call.
Residue on the lawn. Could match the traces I found on the glass.
Now that's how Batman is known as the world's greatest detective. She's figured out that Batman is John Wayne. And now Batman has become a peeping Tom.
Me and Daddy used to come here all the time.
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
Thank you, animators. It was very important that you showed us his butt outline so we knew exactly how his butt cheeks were moving as he walked. Yes, so here we are at the Gotham's World's Fair. Kind of like the World's Fair in my backyard. It's actually kind of true. I don't live too far from the old 1964 World's Fair. Well, what's left of it. See, this flashback is supposed to be important because it sets us up for the climax. Very sexist idea of their future. Okay, the show is supposed to take place in that modern time, which is the 90s, which would suggest that, I don't know, they probably were dating in the 80s. So in the 80s, they imagined the future would be like the 50s idea of the future. So that's how he got inspired. Batman looked at this model and said, yes, someday I want a crime-fighting vehicle that has a front end being very long for no reason.
Well, this is a most pleasant interruption.
Oh, and Arthur Reeves was somebody's assistant.
At last I meet the elusive Bruce Wayne.
Andrea's dad, Carl Beaumont, and he's voiced by Stacy Keach Jr. Stacy Keach, he's the dad from Titus. And yeah, he was the bad guy in American History X. But he's from Titus.
Nothing's more important than family.
He says he has an appointment.
Then Mr. Valestra has an appointment.
Oh, and that is the old man we saw freaking out looking at the paper. Salvatore Valestra, voiced by Abe Vigoda.
He knows his priority.
Remember, I said that Andrea, the voice cast director, likes to cast actors who have experience in this stuff. Abe Vigoda appeared in films like Godfather, but I know him as the old man from Good Burger. And also, he would randomly make appearances on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. See, you snowflake woke kids could not handle cartoons today. Back then, we actually had smokers. And they gave us secondhand smoke.
Dead hand over the cash box, man.
And now we're getting this intense fighting scene because Bruce Wayne can't mind his own business.
Better have your insurance paid up, sucker.
Again with the dialogue. As I told you, in the TV show, you don't get punches without the flash of light. But here... broke all his ribs and he never became Batman. They're laughing because they got their asses kicked. See, everyone recovers.
I can't put myself on the line as long as there's someone waiting for me to come home.
Miss Beaumont would be glad to know you feel that way, Master Bruce.
Okay, I'm not laughing because of the scene. I'm just laughing at how he reacts after hitting the wall. Check it out.
What shall I say, sir?
I don't know. I just don't know!
The animators took the time for him to shake his hand. I love it.
Look, I can give money to the city. They can hire more cops. Let someone else take the risk. But it's different now.
Okay, I need to stop because he's about to deliver one of the most gut-wrenching lines in the whole entire film. Maybe in the whole entire canon of the animated series.
But I didn't see this coming. I didn't count on being happy.
Alright, the TV series got a daytime Emmy, but...
tell me that it's okay.
Maybe they sent me.
This scene alone should have given them some kind of award.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay?
O'Neill Funding Corporation. Adams, Tool, and Die.
O'Neill Adams, as in Neil Adams, who worked on Batman comics. You're cute, movie. You're cute.
You'll be seeing her?
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
You're talking about when he was a baby, right? Batman, put some guardrails up. And a group photo with all of them, including Andrea's dad, Carl.
Andrea's father.
Great, now Batman's reminiscing of her dad. Did they go on a date too?
What do you say?
Cubic zirconia. And kids, that is how Bruce Wayne discovered the Batcave, thus becoming Morbius. Alright, so comic books, you once again lied to me. He didn't fall into a Batcave as a kid. Bats just came out when he proposed to a girl. I think you know who it is. I know who it is. It's the Penguin.
Too young. Need time. Forget about me.
This box will explode in 10 seconds. Yes, son, your mother and I did get married. Did you? No? Aww. And this is where we get the first pivotal moment he puts on the cowl. My God, indeed. He's become Wolverine in a cape. Go ham warfare. You're a silly movie. Well, it's good to see that they're providing electricity to the World's Fair.
I hate that song.
Yes! Mark Hamill as the Joker. Kevin Conroy is the perfect Batman voice, and Mark Hamill is the perfect Joker voice. But that almost didn't happen. Again, fun fact. Originally, they wanted Tim Curry to do the voice of the Joker. I mean, it makes sense. After all, he was Pennywise. But they realized it ended up not sounding right. They even had Tim Curry deliver dialogue. I'm going to play a little bit of an episode for you where Tim Curry actually finished his lines. This is from the episode The Last Laugh.
Hey, Batman, you stink so bad, I can smell you from here.
I love you, Tim Curry. You're a great actor and you deserve so much, but your Joker voice is not so grand. It just doesn't feel right.
You wouldn't let me fry, would you?
But please, keep that voice, because we're gonna need you for the voice of Kilo Khan from Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Mi Casa Nostra es su Casa Nostra.
Tim Curry was crazy, scary. And Mark was crazy, funny, and scary.
Did you know with this movie, Siskel and Ebert didn't even review it? Not until it came out on Laserdisc. And they liked it, but Gene Siskel really did not like Mark Hamill's Joker voice.
Better when Jack Nicholson played him in the first movie or Cesar Romero in the cartoon show on TV. I don't like this Joker's voice.
Well, Gene Siskel, I hope you're enjoying your time now, and I hope you've changed your mind. How's it going down there? Okay, so as you figured out, Salvador Filestra is in desperate need, so desperate that he goes to the Joker to get rid of Batman, because he's so good at it.
Your hands are just as dirty. Dirtier.
Joker is so mad that he turned the background red.
Don't touch me, old man. I don't know where you've been. That's what I want to see. A nice big smile.
This Joker is so intimidating. I love it so much.
We could stay up, talk for a while.
And this movie is horny.
Got a killer day tomorrow, but call me, okay?
And you know she kissed him because she knew Batman was there. And now Batman interrogates Andrea about her father's involvement. I won't bore you with all the details, but you're about to see a very painful burn.
You still following your dad's orders?
The way I see it, the only one in this room controlled by his parents is you.
Boom. Roasted.
You can't go dropping your liquor and crying about it, young lady. Pick it up.
Sal Valestra, your angel of death awaits.
The classic Joker toxin. We got that in the Tim Burton Batman movie, but I wish further Joker appearances would include this. They kind of do it in The Dark Knight, but all they really did was just make the victims have their faces cut.
You're not Batman after all.
Folks, we're going to get the two popular vehicles, the Batmobile and the Batwagon.
Stay away. This is not your fight. And stay in the light.
This has to be the most intense chase from the cops we've ever seen in a Batman film.
Is considered armed and dangerous. Use of deadly force is authorized.
And keep in mind, they're not exactly trying to arrest Batman at this point. They're trying to kill him. Another thing that separates the movie from the animated series, blood. Batman's getting shredded here. Oh, look, it's the same cop that was driving with young Harvey Bullock. Officer, you'd have a better time shooting at Batman if you actually opened your eyes. Oh my god, this whole time the Batman was really just a construction barrier. And the cops were shooting upward. Why didn't they see it from whatever? Gotham is dark, they can't see it, I guess.
Hurry!
And that's how Andrea saved Batman.
You remember Daddy was having a meeting that night with his partners.
Okay, now we're gonna get the backstory for her of why she turned him down.
Pay one way or another.
No, please.
Daddy, what's going on?
So basically, to sum it up, the mobsters that we saw get killed, they were trying to get their money back from Carl.
Somehow we'll be free of those guys, whatever it takes. That's a promise.
So Carl took his daughter Andrea and they ran off to Europe.
The man in the costume, your father?
Bruce, it's Gotham. Please be more specific.
That's twice now I've come into your life and screwed it up.
Yeah, the camera is panning away, showing us window curtains. The kids don't know what's going on, but we grown-ups, oh, we know. We know. And 5 minutes later, their problems were solved. Yeah, I saw this movie with my mom, and this was a thing that was very awkward to see with her.
Oh, no.
You didn't have to ruin a picture.
You!
Joker making his final ties with the rest of the mob, he actually takes on the councilman. Councilman kind of looks like Ben Shapiro. But that's okay, Joker has fixed him.
Please, you've got to control yourself.
I'm trying, for God's sake!
Now Arthur Reeves has been hit with the Joker toxin.
My first election campaign, I was running out of money.
So you sold him to the mob.
And after learning that Arthur Reeves was the one who sold Andrea's dad out to the mob, Batman leaves him to suffer his fate.
Councilman, please.
Okay, now Batman's just going through his girlfriend's wardrobe.
Ooh, anybody home?
Rude. Very, very rude.
Hello, operator. I believe my party's been disconnected.
But he always has those closing lines.
Dad?
Now we're back to Joker being rude.
Feeling the old electricity tonight? Ain't it always the way? You get in the mood and company shows up.
Again, this movie is horny.
I'm impressed, lady.
So you figured it out.
Costume's a bit theatrical, but hey, who am I to talk?
Oh, who could have known that was going to be Andrea Beaumont? I mean, the Phantasm's voice is done by Stacy Keach. You trickster movie, you're a real trickster. I did not see this coming. Not one bit. Well, that's true for me. I didn't see it coming. But the people of Kenner, the toy company, they knew. And you know who else knew? Everyone else who had seen the Phantasm toy before the movie came out. Because those dummies packaged the figure just like this. Spoiler.
You could teach old Batsy a thing or two about disappearing.
And it's not a 90s movie until there's a nut shot. And of course the Joker is getting away. That's how we get that Christmas song. The Bat Cycle. Except for, I don't know if this is really helpful, throwing whatever at the fan, aren't you? Literally. And now that she's out of the way, Batman is gonna kick the Joker's ass himself. Oh, look, they're fighting just like they're a Megazord and a monster. Punch that helicopter. Another thing about this movie, it likes to reference other villains. The big hat is a reference to Mad Hatter, and this spaceman outfit looks familiar, right? It's pretty much the Mr. Freeze suit. And they fight on a jetpack.
We'll both die. Whatever it takes.
Batman is ready to die with the Joker. Now he's in murder mode because he prevented years of sex with Andrea. Yeah, we thought she was done, huh? No, she just kind of took a break for a moment.
You've got to get out of here. The place is wired to explode.
This is a bit of an interesting line read. Oh no, not the World's Fair. How will I learn about modern technology that the 1950s predicted?
Goodbye, my love.
But don't worry, Batman's safe. He fell into the sewer. Andrea finally got her revenge, and we never see the Joker ever again.
I always feared you would become that which you fought against.
But see, this is a nice message. This film has a lot of interesting messages.
Not even you could have pulled her back.
Anytime there's hope in his life, it can be easily taken away. This is kind of the burden and curse of Batman. Don't feel bad for Andrea. She gets to go on a nice carnival cruise.
I'm sorry. Do you want to be alone?
I am.
Well, if you're going to be emo about it. And look, they even got the bat signal going, so apparently they trust Batman again. They're all friends. And that is the end of Batman Mask of the Phantasm. After this movie, there were more episodes of Batman the Animated Series. We see the Joker comes back without any explanation. They don't really tell you how he comes back, but no one acknowledges it either. I would like to say this film stands outside of the continuity of the show, but it really doesn't. Yeah, there are a couple moments where this movie is referenced. It wasn't too long after the series, Warner Brothers and Fox Kids decided to rebrand the show as The Adventures of Batman and Robin, because they wanted more Robin. We would be introduced to Batgirl. The series just kind of stopped, and the last episode aired September 15th, 1995. But there was a follow-up movie. It was straight to video because this movie didn't do so well. In the box office with a $6 million budget, it only earned back $5.6 million. It was a flop. And the reason why it flopped probably was because Warner Brothers decided at the last minute to make this theatrical. And they didn't really put too much marketing into it. I mean, otherwise, fans and critics actually loved the film. There was a sequel. It was straight to video. It was supposed to be the finisher of Batman the Animated Series. This film I'm talking about is Batman Sub-Zero. That came out after Batman and Robin, but they had to push that back because Batman and Robin did so badly. We did get a new Batman series. It was a continuation of this series, just different character designs. And in that series, it does reference this movie because in the episode Beware the Creeper, reporter Jack Ryder is actually talking about the life of the Joker. And it even cuts to what is presumably the same photo from this movie.
Operating under a variety of aliases, a nameless Gunsel began his criminal career as a hitman for the Valestra mob.
The Phantasm herself eventually made it to the comics in sometime after the 2010s. the Phantasm herself did have a continuation as well. You see, after this movie came out, there was a slight continuation in the comics. I'm talking about the Batman and Robin Adventures Annual #1, called Shadow of the Phantasm. Don't let the cover fool you. The Joker doesn't become the Phantasm, but it does explain what happened in the explosion, about how she let the Joker go because she realized the Joker has become so insane that nothing she could ever do to him would face him. So it was pointless to even have vengeance anymore. And it does show that Arthur Reeves becomes so crazy from the Joker toxin that he survives, but he becomes a villain. But he dies in that same comic. And if you don't want to include the comic as canon of the series, the Phantasm does make an appearance in the Justice League Unlimited episode Epilogue. Yes, Amanda Waller tries to hire her to kill Terry McGinnis's parents when he was a kid, trying to create a new Batman. But Andrea decided she didn't want to do that. So yeah, this film does make a huge impact on our lives, just as much as Kevin Conroy did. Kevin Conroy was a very special man. He is what we think of when we imagine Batman. He delivered the right tone, he delivered the right behavior, the right mood, everything we needed Batman to be. He meant many things to his fans. He was many things to the people he loved and the people who loved him. I know this sounds kind of sappy, and I hate being real sometimes because of this, but oftentimes in life, we learn our life lessons from more than school or family. We learn our life lessons from fictional characters. It sounds insane, but we are raised by these heroes. And when we think of Batman and we imagine his voice, it always comes back to Kevin Conroy. Ever since Kevin Conroy, there have been many other people who have voiced Batman, even big name celebrities, but none of them can really hold a candle to Kevin Conroy. And those celebrities and actors would agree. While his beginnings were not the best, very humbling, he did become stronger because of it. He channeled his trauma into his art. That's what a lot of people who work with art do. Just channel the trauma and put it into that. And he made something of himself for it. He will be missed. He is one of those celebrities that I wish I had met. I had the pleasure of meeting Adam West. I've never met Stanley. I've never met Kevin Conroy, and it's a shame. Kevin Conroy, thank you for giving us all an imagination of what a hero is and giving us something to admire and aspire to be. I'm Anthonix Maximus. Thank you for putting up with me and my somber moments at times. I hope you enjoy some more reviews. If you haven't, check out some more of my stuff. Like I said, I'll leave some links down below so you can learn more about Kevin Conroy. We are the night. We are vengeance. We are Batman.